Imagine planning your dream wedding, only for your parents to demand your sister get to walk down your aisle first, in a wedding dress and before you. Yeah, that actually happened to me. But here's the thing. We didn't just stop them. We made them pay for it, literally. And the ending? Oh, it's delicious. If you've ever been treated as the family scapegoat, or wished karma would smack someone who wronged you, hit that like button right now. Because this is the story of how I turned my family's twisted plan into the most satisfying wedding revenge you've ever heard. Ever since I could remember, my parents had one favourite child, my sister. And, spoiler alert, it was never me. Growing up, I wasn't just the less favourite, I was the designated punching bag. If she accused me of anything, I was punished. If I accused her, I was called a liar. My birthday cake? Always her favourite flavour. Family trips? Always to places she wanted. Even when I had proof she was lying, my parents would find some way to scold me too, just to make sure I learned a lesson. My sister thrived in this setup, spoiled, smug, and completely untouchable. And as we got older, she only got worse. When she lost all her friends at school, she made it her mission to isolate me too. She accused my friends of things, convinced my parents they were bad influences, and before I knew it, I wasn't allowed to hang out with anyone. What saved me was my extended family. My cousins saw what was happening and kept inviting me to things. I'll never forget the day I told them I wasn't allowed to have friends because my sister didn't have any. That one innocent confession caused a massive blow-up with my parents, and for the first time, they got called out by other adults. But if you think that changed anything, think again. My sister doubled down, switched schools, found new friends, and kept tormenting me, now with a bigger audience. High school was a nightmare. My sister accused both of my boyfriends of flirting with her, after she tried flirting with them. My parents believed her both times and forced me to break up with them. Meanwhile, she had more spending money, better curfews, more freedom, always with the excuse she's older. You'll get the same when you're her age. Except when I reached her age, I still didn't get the same treatment. When I pointed it out, they called me untrustworthy and brought up the boyfriends she saved me from. By the time she graduated, she was off to college on my parents' dime, with full fanfare. I was relieved she'd be gone, but no. She came home every weekend and made my life miserable, and when it was my turn to graduate, my parents sat me down and told me they had no money left for my college. If I wanted to stay home, I'd have to pay rent and part of the bills, but they'd see if they could help me after my sister finished school. They expected a meltdown, but I just smiled, thanked them for their concern and walked away, because secretly, I'd been preparing for this my whole life. I got a full scholarship, and I announced it on social media at the same time I told them. They couldn't say no without looking like monsters to the entire family, and for the first time I was free. Fast forward a few years, I meet my now husband. He is everything I am not, bold, confrontational, and refuses to let anyone walk over him. When we decided to get married, we agreed on a small ceremony so we could spend more on our dream honeymoon in Europe. The wedding was supposed to be simple, drama-free, but then came the fateful meeting with my parents. They sat my fiancé down, without me, and made their demand. They would pay for my wedding. But only if my sister got to walk down my aisle first, in a wedding dress, at my venue, with her own mini-ceremony, photos, and cake. Like my wedding was just some rehearsal dinner for her real marriage that hadn't even been proposed yet. My husband could have exploded on the spot. He admits he almost did. But instead he did something brilliant. He told them he'd think about it, and then he came home grinning like the devil himself and played me the recording of the entire conversation. At first I was crushed. Even after everything they'd done to me, I never thought they'd try to steal my wedding day. But my husband refused to let me spiral. "Babe," he said, "we're going to make them pay for this. Literally." And thus began months of planning. We pretended to agree. My husband played the role of the understanding future son-in-law, telling them he was only going along to keep the peace. He told them I was controlling and would never agree if I found out, so everything had to stay off the record. No texts, no emails, they bought it. Hook, line and sinker, and then we bled them dry. Every decision became a trap. When we went to sample food, we picked the cheapest option, then reluctantly told them we couldn't justify spending more. My sister threw a fit, and my parents swooped in, insisting they'd pay for the most expensive option. Photographer. Same trick, flowers. Same trick by the end. We had a dream wedding, top-tier everything, and barely spent a cent, and they still thought they were about to humiliate me by letting my sister play pretend bride at my wedding. Wedding day arrives. My parents' plan was simple. Wait until everyone was seated, sneak my sister down the aisle before me, and force me to watch quietly while she had her moment. But we had our own plan, a professional security guard, one who knew exactly what to do. When my sister arrived in a full wedding gown, he stopped her at the door, calmly told her she must be at the wrong venue, because there was already a bride. My dad tried to push his way past. Security didn't budge. Meanwhile, inside, my dad was supposed to cue me, but instead of me waiting backstage, I was already lined up, ready to go. The doors opened. The music played. And there I was, walking down the aisle, smiling through tears. Gasps rippled through the crowd. My dad's phone started ringing, my sister, and he left. Left me standing there, abandoned at the entrance. My friend, who was in on the plan, loudly said, "Wait. What did he mean by it wasn't supposed to be you?" Whispers flew through the crowd. By the time I reached my husband, half the guests were buzzing with speculation. Outside, my sister was losing it, full screaming, crying, throwing herself on the floor. My parents were begging, threatening, anything to get her in, and then they started telling everyone my husband had agreed to it. Big mistake. My husband walked out there, put on his most innocent, confused face and said, "You seriously think I agreed to something that insane?" Prove it. Of course they couldn't. No texts, no emails, nothing. Family members started turning on them. Why would you even want to do that? What kind of parents are you? By the time my husband stormed back inside to protect his bride, my parents were being torn apart by everyone outside, and my sister was still on the ground, screaming. They eventually had to drag her away. They didn't come back for the reception, which honestly made it even better. Everyone was extra sweet to me all night, and my husband and I got to enjoy the very expensive party my parents funded, without a shred of guilt. Afterward, we went on our honeymoon. When my sister started spamming me with hateful messages, my husband screenshotted everything and sent it to the family group chat with a dramatic plea for help. Please, stop them from harassing my wife on our honeymoon. The family took our side. And since then, total radio silence. My parents tried to make my wedding about my sister and ended up paying for the entire thing, only to get banned at the door, humiliated in front of the family, and exposed as the toxic parents they are. And for once in my life, I felt like justice had finally been served. I wish I had a normal, loving family to celebrate with. But this time they didn't ruin my day, and maybe that's the best gift they could ever give me. So what do you think? Was this the perfect revenge? Or would you have gone further? Let me know in the comments, and if you love stories where karma comes knocking, make sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss the next one.